Your Denver Broncos get some fantastic news in the AFC West. The Bo Nix hate has got to stop, and Sean Payton claps back at why Bo Nix's second season in the league is going to eclipse everything that we saw last year in the league, and some draft news at the very end of this video. If you're new to the channel, I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan named Ben, and it helps me and the YouTube algorithm out a ton if you like the Broncos, if you would like and subscribe. Obviously, the fact that we have to play Justin Herbert and Harbaugh and Andy Reid and Mahomes twice a year, each of those collectively, total of 4 games, that's a major bummer. But the silver lining is that we get to play the reeling Vegas Raiders, who just continue to try to cope with the fact that they don't have an answer at quarterback, and now they are massively overpaying a huge reach, and even in Vegas, they aren't thrilled with what just happened today. So the big news of the day is that Geno Smith, who the Raiders had already given a third-round draft pick to have come from the Seattle Seahawks to Las Vegas, ended up signing an extension, so he is their quarterback of the future from now until 2027. I think in hindsight, this is just going to make the Russell Wilson deal look absolutely phenomenal. That you were talking about paying $40 million a year for Geno Smith, and every single Raiders content creator I've tuned into, seeing their reaction, my main man Graf, who does an amazing job there at OLV Raiders, I'll link to it in the description. The thing he says, even in his live, is like, hey, this doesn't take us out of the running for Shedeur Sanders. Like, we still could get a quarterback. And if you are saying that, like, no one else in our division would be like signing our quarterback to an extension and say, well, we still could get another quarterback next year. And that, to me, is the evidence that the Vegas Raiders do not even believe in him. But you don't have to hear just how their content creators are feeling about that massive deal. All you have to do is look at their actions. And what you're seeing here is that the Vegas Raiders were actually interested in getting Joe Milton, who ended up saying he was like a diehard Cowboys fan growing up, and his mom always wears Cowboys gear. And so the Patriots sent him to the Cowboys because that's where his family roots for and where he wanted to go. But you are not in the running for a Joe Milton if you truly believe that Geno Smith is your future. And you don't believe Geno Smith is your future if you're actually talking about getting Shedeur Sanders. And this is just truly, again, showing us how lucky we have it here for at least the next half of a decade, that we have Bo Nix locked in on a rookie deal. That you're paying $40 million a year for Geno Smith, and you think you have any chance of competing. It's absolutely laughable. All we have to do is remember, like, the first part of this game here. This was Bo Nix's first ever game in the NFL, and he was like a tipped pass from Riley Moss away. Remember, DK Metcalf caught a catch right over Riley Moss, like an extended finger catch right over Riley Moss, and Bo Nix has a chance to go win in Seattle his very first game. Geno Smith, you guys, is not the answer, and we got to be thrilled that he's going to be throwing a lot more picks to the Broncos this year, especially with the fact that our defense just got way better, and all you have to do is look up Geno Smith highlights and lowlights on any of the streaming services that you check out, and you'll just see that he is not one of them ones. He is not accurate with the ball. He throws into bad coverages, and he's not particularly like a locker room guy. So I'm just thrilled with the fact that they're going to continue to implode there in Vegas, and it's good for us because we get 2 wins a year with the Raiders, and that's going to continue next year. Next thing is, there is still a lot of Bo Nix hate out there that it just drives me absolutely bonkers when I hear it. And I just, like, when I listened to this one, I was remembering, like, who is this guy and why do I know him? And then I remembered, oh, he was the one who said, like, Nikola Jokic wasn't going to be good. And there was video after video of Nick Wright going on and just saying that Nikola Jokic is overhyped and will never win an MVP, and since has won 3 and probably should win even more than that. And here's what he has to say about Bo Nix, and the slander is real. We're going to hear what he had to say, and then how Sean Payton kind of responds to that ChatGPT created hate from these players who truly never watch Bo Nix, or they wouldn't be saying this.
If I were the Vikings, I would be disappointed if he has a Bo Nix season. Not as far as us making the playoffs or whatever, but because, to me, Bo Nix's season was very Mack Jones first year in New England-ish, and I'm not saying that's the trajectory.
So he is saying if J.J. McCarthy has a year like Bo Nix did, that the Vikings should be disappointed. Bro, Bo Nix got us to the playoffs without a tight end, without a 100-yard rusher the entire season. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the league on deep throws, and did it with 2 rookie wide receivers in Troy Franklin and in Devon Vele. Bo Nix is him, and all you have to do is, like, let's not listen to Nick Wright. Also, get a haircut, Nick Wright. Just listen to what Andy Reid said yesterday. Listen to what Sean McDermott said yesterday. Listen to what Bill Belichick said when we drafted him. Listen to what Sean Payton said about how he tricked everyone. Bo Nix, the future is inevitable, and you will eat those words as hard as you ate the word saying that Nikola Jokic wasn't going to be anything, and that's a cold, hard fact. So, hearing that, Bo Nix might regress, like look at how bad CJ Stroud's second year was, that Bo Nix might do the same exact thing. And if you look at like why CJ Stroud struggled so much, it's because they did not keep him safe. The Denver Broncos this year. So just look at this play. You look at the Dolphins, who after Bradley Chubb went down did not have a good defensive line. And this was the type of stuff that CJ Stroud saw all year long, where you're like, oh, dude, this guy could get sacked by 4 different defensive linemen on this one play. Like that is, if that happened in Madden, you would think your game glitched out, that your tackle stopped blocking. And so he was not kept upright. The Broncos have the highest paid offensive line in football, with all pros on there, with Garrett Bowles coming back. Like, our offensive line is fantastic. And then what Sean Payton came out and said was that he's not going to just like meet what he did last year. He's going to exceed it. And he's confident of that because all we've done is surround him with even more talent. So the fact that we have Evan Ingram in the mix, that is a tight end like we have not seen in Denver since Julius Thomas. That is going to make a massive difference for Bo Nix being able to exploit the middle of the field. His connection with Marvin Mims is just going to continue. Look at Bo Nix's numbers towards the end of last season once we started incorporating Marvin Mims more. And Marvin Mims had that game against the Bengals where he had 2 touchdowns. He drove on the Bengals and scored in 1 minute and 13 seconds. Bo Nix is not a check down merchant, and all we have added is more talent. And just wait till Sean Payton knocks this next draft out of the park, and you'll see exactly what's happening. The other thing that folks aren't saying, really reporting on, is the fact that Bo Nix is a film junkie. And all last season up to this point, he didn't know where he was going, and all he was doing was like learning different offensive playbooks and doing meetings with teams. He has had this entire offseason to prep for next year, knowing exactly what Sean Payton wants. We heard in multiple interviews with George Payton, with Penner, with Sean Payton, that they had to kick Bo Nix out of the facility and say, dude, you need a vacation. Get out of here. Bo Nix is a film junkie and is going to have this entire offseason to prep for what is to come next year. And we've added more offensive talent around him, and I think that's going to be phenomenal. We're seeing Troy Franklin going back to the number that he rocked in college with Bo Nix and working out just as hard as Bo Nix is, and working at being an even better receiver next year. And then you're hearing that we already have a plan here as a offensive squad, that you're going to have Marvin Mims and Cortland Sutton and several other rookie and veteran wideouts go out and do like a pre-throwing camp with Bo Nix. And obviously this isn't going to be like Russell Wilson, where he has everybody out to San Diego and puts a hype video together. They're working in silence and not like trying to brag about it. You have to hear Marvin Mims' dad come out and tell you that Bo Nix isn't bragging about what he's going to do. He's going to be about that work. And I think that's something we should be extremely, extremely excited about. Other thing here is a great little tweet here from Bumblebee01, great follow on Twitter for sure, who talked about like, man, are the Broncos actually going to be trading up in this year's draft? And I think there's going to be a very interesting balance here. We know that George Payton loves his draft picks and covets them, and he finds diamonds in the rough, whether that's finding Benito late, whether that's finding Quinn Meinert's way later than he should have been, or Jonathan Cooper. He finds diamonds in the rough. And so the more at-bats he has, the better that is for him. But we know Sean Payton loves trading up. And looking here from 2006 to 2021, Sean Payton traded up 4 times. And then in his last 13 drafts, he has traded up. And so I think that it could be very likely that as we are watching the draft later on this month, that you are going to see the Denver Broncos make a trade up. Who that's going to be for, just make sure you stay tuned here, because it is a wildly exciting time, because the Raiders are continuing to Raider. Bo Nix is going to take that next step, and Broncos country, we've got a ton to believe in.